Hey everybody, welcome back to another Dead by Daylight video. And, I make a lot of videos talking about perks, and I know I'm going to get hate anytime I do it, which is fine. However, today's video is not that. You read the title, you saw the thumbnail. No, I don't think Windows of Opportunity needs a nerf. I legitimately don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be. However, I'm going to use this video and the topic of it to segue into the idea of comfort perks. Perks that are highly picked, really aren't that strong, but are what I joke and call them crutch perks, but they're really not crutches. I would call them more, like I said, comfort perks. Perks you bring just to help you out in whatever way. They're mostly aura reading perks, to be honest, which is a very strange thing. Before we get into that, let's talk about Windows real quick. So, windows of opportunity, for those who don't know, the auras of walls, pallets, and windows are revealed to you within 32 meters. That is all it does. It just shows you the auras of pallets and windows. And breakable walls, but that's no one cares about that part. This is a perk that has been the most used survivor perk for about a year and a half now. Probably longer the more I think about it, but about a year and a half now. It has a 35% pick rate, which is insane. Now, here's the thing. Statistically speaking, that should mean this perk needs a nerf. It's used by everybody. Clearly, it's OP. But it's really not. The thing with this perk is it's more of a guideline perk. It's a perk that shows you where to go, but not what to do once you get there. It's the whole adage of you can lead a horse to water, but you can't get him to drink it, right? Doesn't matter how often a survivor knows the layout of the map if they can't do anything with it because they're not good enough or because the layout isn't in their favor. Seeing the aura doesn't help. Is it a little annoying when someone's running his perk and literally crutching on it completely to just run in a straight line and pre-drop every single pallet the moment the killer gets anywhere near them? A little bit, but at the end of the day, I don't think Windows is the problem with that. I think it's just how people play, which is a play style, I suppose. In any case, I do want to get into the idea, though, of comfort perks, because I do believe Windows is a comfort perk, mostly for solo queue players. The reason this perk is so highly picked is not only that it tells you the loop locations and gives you a general idea of the map layout, it tells you pallets that your teammates have dropped. It tells you if you're running into a dead zone or not. It tells you where main building is. It tells you where shack is. If you don't have all of this mapped out in your head already, this perk is a lifesaver, especially in solo queue. And this goes with many other perks. One that I often run a lot of the time is Bond. Bond is a huge savior. It lets me know if I'm about to sandbag my teammates. It lets me know if I'm about to run the killer into gens. It lets me know which gens are getting done. It lets me know when someone's being chased, if they're coming towards me or if they're going next to me. It lets me know which pallets people have dropped if they're nearby. These perks are not overpowered because they give information. If anything, a lot of this info should be inherent in the game and based somehow. I honestly think Bond should... I think an 8-meter base kit Bond wouldn't be that bad. I'm not going to get into talking about base kit because every time I do, people get mad at me. Anyway, but Windows doesn't need a nerf. And I know people haven't really talked about it getting nerfed in a while, but this perk does often come up every now and again with people like, it needs to be nerfed because I see all 4 survivors running it every match. Listen, I'd rather all 4 survivors running Windows of Opportunity than basically any other perk in the game. This perk doesn't do anything unless they know what they're doing. Once again, the whole pre-dropping and holding W thing is a little annoying, but it's not overpowered, and most killers have ways to fight against that anyways. There's a few exceptions, but for the most part, most killers can do something about it. On top of that, for the people who are brain dead about it, blindness exists. Listen, I'm telling you right now, I know I've talked about in the past that blindness is a status effect that I feel like doesn't get any inherent value because you don't see the value. If you start bringing blindness add-ons, you would be surprised how often you see people, their brains scatter because they don't have the aura reading from Windows of Opportunity. Does that mean blindness is a good status effect? No. Blindness is still situational because if they don't bring Windows or any aura reading perks, it didn't do anything for you anyways. However, it can be useful and work, and you will see it if you're paying attention. There's many times on maps like Garden of Joy, I've seen people completely miss pallets because they were blinded for whatever reason. And if you really want a killer that destroys windows of opportunity, play Singularity. Bring his blindness add-on, and I promise you, you will get use out of it and basically counter any form of windows of opportunity. In any case, I've rambled on longer than I probably should, but point being, to surmise all of this, Windows doesn't need a nerf. Most comfort perks don't need a nerf. This goes for both sides, with one exception, and that would be Save the Best for Last. I'm not going to get into that, but Save the Best for Last is often my comfort perk. I still think it needs to be nerfed more than it has. Or changed, I should say. I really think the obsession should change. That's a whole other discussion. I'm not going to ramble on about that. But things like Brutal Strength, Enduring, I would call those comfort perks for Killer. Things like Nowhere to Hide, I would call a comfort perk for Pit. Most aura reading perks I would call comfort perks for Killers. Because a lot of them are just kind of let you autopilot a bit, for lack of a better word. Because barbecue and chili, you hook somebody. I run into on killers that can't make good use of barbecue and chili, mostly because it lets me know where to go next. That's really the only reason I run it. Same with lethal; it just lets me start the game sooner because I don't have to spend that, those first 30 to 45 seconds finding somebody. I know exactly where they are. Even once again on killers that can't use it very well, I run it on Chucky, and he can barely get across the map fast enough. But it's nice to know the general direction that survivors are. But things like that, these perks that give comfort and help you out in tiny ways and kind of just let you autopilot a tiny bit, I don't think really need a nerf necessarily. Now the argument could be made for some comfort perks, such as like I would argue Pain Res and Pop are comfort perks. Could they use a slight adjustment? Maybe. Something like Sprint Burst and most of the exhaustion perks probably don't need a nerf, to be honest. I am actually going to do a video talking about the exhaustion perks and how I think some of them should probably be buffed. Not the obvious ones. I don't think Sprint Burst and Life should be buffed by any means. If anything, I have an idea to nerf them while buffing the other ones that I feel would be a way to not make them completely useless. And I know people will get mad at me about it because everyone gets mad at me. Anyways, Windows Opportunity, though, perfectly fine perk. Comfort perks, perfectly fine. If anything, I would like to see more people bringing comfort perks rather than the typical meta. Anyways, I love you guys. Have a good one. Let me know what you guys think. And, yeah. Bye.
Subscribe, damn it. I'll be back. I always come back, and so should you, you moron.